School's out and it's time for a little midsummer trip to the Virginia border. It's been a bit of a hiatus for SRO America in the months of June and early July as dozens of drivers, team members, and staff went overseas to participate or spectate the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. But with the return of the Toyota GR Cup eSports League, we signal our return to North American competition a week ahead of our trip to the real Virginia International Raceway. Welcome back to iRacing and to the virtual VIR for two 25-minute races comprising rounds 7 and 8 of this season-long sim racing championship. Hi, everybody. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined, as always, by Justin Prince. Justin, we're so excited to be back. It's been a while since we've been here in iRacing in the simulator, getting set for our Toyota GR Cup eSports competition. But round 4, rounds 7 and 8, races 7 and 8, I should say, of the season, it's been a long time for everybody, drivers included. There are over 30 of them here today, and the entry list has shifted and shuffled a little bit as we make our way into the second half of the season.
Yes, indeed, and for many of the drivers, there's a sense of anticipation to be able to hit the racetrack once again, to be able to have a chance, to be able to have an opportunity to perform. And a lot of these organizations and a lot of these drivers in particular have been able to get themselves in position to be able to make sure they're fast today. Now, for many of the drivers, your championship favorites, all amongst those here today, Kyle, that are going to add to that intrigue when it comes to this season. Michael Yanni has been in control so far, after all, but you still have a lot of pressure from Thomas Bellman in terms of the standings. Michael Polasek also within range. Yeah, Michael Polasek is the interesting one, right? He was dominant last season, won a whole bunch of races, and certainly he's been in the mix, but, had a 14th place at Circuit of the Americas. That's not going to do it. Second places all over the place where Michael Yanni has won, and because the points are so stacked to the winning combination, 25 points to win and 18 for second, it is a huge benefit and bonus to be up at the top step each and every round. But Michael Yanni pulling away, but Bellman Polasek will keep him honest. And Justin, we're here at VIR. This is a lovely racetrack that we get to visit once a year in this calendar. Over 3 miles long, 17 corners, and it is a true challenge. It's got corners like this one called Roller Coaster. It's a blast. Yes, indeed. It's a challenge to be able to get around this racetrack here at VIR. It's been around, after all, for a long time. It started off in 1957 and returned in 2000 to real-world action. 3.27 miles, 17 turns to work with. Let's break it on down. You start things off with the run up to Horseshoe. That's one of the best passing opportunities today before you work your way up the hillside, up through Snake, up to the South Bend, before you visit the Oak Tree. Then you flip sides of the racetrack. By the time you get to Roller Coaster, you have a big opportunity for draft all the way from 12 up to turn 14 before you make your way through Roller Coaster up to Hogpen. Hogpen going to set things up for that final stretch to the checker flag. Yeah, it's a blast of a racetrack. It happens in just over 2 minutes and 7 seconds around here in a Toyota GR86 Cup car. We'll head down to the racetrack now for qualifying as we've got just about 6 minutes left here in this qualifying session, and the times are on the left-hand side of your screen. And we talked about Thomas Bellman, runner-up in the championship standings. Here he is atop the scoring pylon here with 6 minutes left in this qualifying session here, Justin. So already off to a very strong start here in this event. And we know that he is a very efficient driver when it comes to hitting his marks and being able to find speed over the course of the series. Now it looks like he's trying to reset his tires, warm it up a little bit more to be able to make sure he can push a little bit more. Now keep in mind as well, we had an iRacing build too in between the race weekends as well, where that's also going to change some of the dynamics. Some of the cars on the service got some updates to tire models. GR86 not so much in terms of the updates, but many of these drivers already know based on experience, tire heat is going to be very important to be able to heat up those tires for the Continentals, to be able to build up those pressures, to be able to push for when you need to execute for the top time. 2:07.6 is the benchmark. So as Thomas Bellman heads up onto the front straightaway, let's ride on board here for a little bit, get a perspective just over the passenger side dashboard here, right up against the right side guardrail here. Track out, this is that first corner Horseshoe. Out to the left, you're gonna brake at the 1. Hard on the brakes here, use the ABS. It's sort of a double apex corner, gonna tuck it in, touch the curbing, track out a little bit, throttle back down. You don't need to touch that curb on the right, but you wanna stay all the way driver's right here to get yourself set up for this turn. They call this turn NASCAR. Very tricky bending braking zone here. Just a touch on the brakes, clobber the curb, use all the exit all the way out to the dirt there, and then through left hook, this
tight left combination sets you up for Snake. This fast right, left, right combination here. This is we're going to start to use all the curbing on the right, all the curbing on the left, and straight line this as much as you can climbing up the hill.
And be able to try and make things as quick as possible. As a result, as you go up the hillside, follow along with the curbing as you make your way through before you have to go up through 7, 8, and 9. Use all the curbing possible. Save a little bit more time. Make sure you don't get any off tracks before you hit South Bend. Time you hit those edge of the rumble strips, then you arc it down to the left. Use the rumble strips for balance before you head off to Oak Tree. And in Oak Tree, it's going to be important to make sure you hit the braking marks, get the double apex right, to be able to dive it off the corner, be able to launch yourself down the long straightaway for by the time you get to roller coaster.
Yeah, and that was a really well-executed run through Oak Tree there. Named for the old oak tree that fell in 2013. There is a replacement tree now on the outside of the racetrack down there, but the corner still bears the name. Now, speeds here. We're going to see about 120 to 125 miles an hour in the draft, but undrafted, you're going to just be at the top end of the high 100 teens here. 119 for Bellarmine now on the brakes, and then this is that roller coaster section. You drop off a cliff here, big compressions on the downhill run. And then when you get to the bottom here at Hog Pen, it's all about setting up that compression to make sure that your tires have maximum grip here. Your virtual Continentals right here. Compress, back on power. Nicely done here by Bellarmine. He's up in the green, but Michael Yanni has pipped him by about 0.2 of a second on the scoring.
And Yanni's already completed the qualifying. Will there be an update for the time, though? He's going to need to improve by 0.2 of a second to get there. He did not improve. In fact, he was slower than his personal best by a couple 100ths of a second. So just like that, the pressure is on for him to be able to perform from at least second spot. Andre Castro going off tracking.
Whoa, this is going to be a big hit over there too. And that car is going to wrap up its qualifying effort here. Joshua Soto's on track. He's headed through South Bend right now. Good looking car out of Kissimmee, Florida is Joshua Soto. Great looking new livery, I believe, for the 7 car here, for this particular event. And we've also got another driver here that we should point some cameras at. This is Max Schweid here, one of our real-world competitors from the Toyota GR Cup series in that number 98, the Tech Sport Racing car. So here he is on pit lane. He's put in a couple of laps, but he's a little bit off. And we've seen this at times with the drivers coming from the real world, not necessarily being able to maximize the simulator setup. But again, we'll see Max improve. His racecraft is so excellent, so we'll see him climb up the order. Here's Logan McKenzie now down through roller coaster.
So far, McKenzie in the top 10. He's had top 10 speed at times throughout his campaigns here in this series. Just looking at the onboard, just trying to make sure he goes to pit lane as quick as possible. Looks like he's going to be done his qualifying efforts. As a result here, not able to get a final lap in. But some of the other drivers like Ewing trying to work their way around the racetrack, trying to find any little edge. Most of the field has gone 3 or 4 laps, mind you, already. But in the case of 28, one of the final ones outside of Nicholas Sudik, who has an opportunity to try and improve here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he's going to get all the way back around to the checkered flag before we run out of time. Remember that we're using iRacing's heat function to run two races back-to-back. So that means that when the timer hits 0, that's the end of qualifying. There's no cooldown period to finish your lap. Unfortunately, we're hearing that Mauricio Lozano was signed up for this event, but he's had some internet-related issues. He will not be racing today, unfortunately, as Yiling Wong leaves Oak Tree and hit the pit limiter, leaving the corner there. It sounded like. Let's listen to this on board. This is a little bit of an odd situation here. Listen.
Yeah, sounds like the limiter. He just didn't go. Quite simple, he just got stuck. I wonder if he hit a wrong button or he just got jammed up in it, and it's going to cost him. As a result on this time, he likely probably is going to improve on the 2.8 flat.
No.
As a result of a mistake like that.
Yeah, he's not going to improve anymore. And I almost wonder if the shifter didn't register a shift. He was going almost too fast for the limiter to really seem like it was doing anything. Because the limiter wouldn't even let you let fuel into the engine at that stage. It wouldn't even try to rev that far over speed. So I almost wonder if it just didn't get the shift. But again, these cars, just like the real world, have that SATEV 6-speed sequential transmission. So you don't have to worry about using the clutch pedal or anything like that. Once you're rolling, it's just pulling and pushing a lever inside the car. But it is mechanically attached, not electronically attached. So that means you can over rev on downshifts and things of the sort. So keep that in mind. 2 25-minute races back to back here. Michael Yanni on pole. He is the championship leader over Thomas Belleman and Michael Polasek, and that is exactly how they're going to line up for this first race, Justin. Any surprises there? I'd say based on the points, no.
Yeah, no major surprises in terms of how they're going to line up here, with the top 3 and points going to be up towards the front, but you also throw into the mix drivers that have done well like Camden Hibbett, who's going to be up towards the front, Brennan Hawken. No major surprises. If you're very good in this car, well, you're likely going to be in the front, it looks like, for the track position.
Yeah, certainly. Michael Yanni, always calm, cool, and collected, and he came up on the short end of so many close finishes last year, and he has made up for that so far this year. But we'll see if he can continue his success in 2025 and go on to potentially win the championship. As we kind of crest the halfway point of the season here, Justin, it gets really critical again to take a look at these point standings and note that Michael Yanni's got 100 points, yes, but how many points can you even earn for the rest of the year? That's 3 rounds worth of wins that he's racked up, and we've only got 3 rounds remaining after this. So this race 7 tonight is the pivot point of this season. So if Michael can continue to log victories here, he can quickly lock out anybody else from mathematically attacking him. I would really say Polasek, Belleman are the only drivers that are realistically capable of doing that. But they've got to start beating him, because if he starts logging more 25-point races, it's going to be very tricky to overcome.
It's going to be extremely difficult, especially since Yanni's already picked up 4 of the possible 6 or so victories so far on the trot. It's going to be a difficult task, I think, for anybody to try and pass him, just because he's got so much experience on the sim. We've talked about he's one of the drivers with a pro license. He's going to be one of those on the pole here alongside Thomas Belleman.
And in row number 2, it's going to be Michael Polasek and Camden Hibbett in 3rd and 4th place. Hibbett with that great-looking red car starting on the outside of row 2. Then Paul Darling, Brandon Hawkins start in 5th place and 6th place. And Andre Castro, Logan McKenzie, 7th and 8th, followed by Nate Stewart and Christian Menzies. That wrap up your top 10 there, Justin.
11th spot goes to Blake Townend tonight. Going away starts off in the 12th position. 13th goes to Michael Montello. He'll start alongside Joshua Soto. Soto will try and move to the mid-pack. Jake Cummings, the same thing with Russell Soto. The Sotos were 1-2 in final practice, remember, earlier on today. Nick Yanni will start it deep in the field, and returning back to action, Cameron Martineau from injury will start in 18th. Joe Wells will start in 19th. Nicholas Sudik will look for some luck in 20th.
And in 21st place, Brett Gardner for Tech Sport Racing rolls off in 21st place. Aaron Smith for PT Autosport starts in 22nd place. Then it's Wanshi Lin in 23rd. Major Months of Ice starts 24th. The number 41 trying to turn some of his luck around from earlier in the season. Then Chris Sweats and David Schofield, 25th and 26th. Then Miguel Colon, Charles Wimbley in 27th and 28th. Then Anthony Montello and Cole Hooper in 29th and 30th. And the last couple of cars here, Patrick Mason, Max Schweid, and Kevin Rold wrap up your 33-car grid for round 7 and 8 of the Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League. Great looks around the racetrack here. Cameras put together by our very own Finian Nakuna, the race steward here today, keeping everything fair and clean on the racetrack. And as we hoped, he said earlier, he says, I really just hope that we can have a nice, calm, quiet day up in the booth and the admin tower here and keep things nice and tidy. Very important, Justin, to keep your hands to yourself. This is not a non-contact sport, just like the real series, and though we don't have any real body work to fix, it's all about fair competition. Recall last year, the racing in the rain that we did, and the excellent battle between Yanni and Polasek, where they were just throwing haymakers at each other, but it was all fair, and it was just such a great battle to watch. So if you have time on GT World, go back to 2024's VIR race. The last 10 minutes of that were absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, the weather conditions, I think, really played a factor in terms of how some of the battling fared out, but it was also about the strategy on how the drivers would survive with the tires. There was a lot of discussion, hype, obviously, with rain on iRacing, and it made things so difficult. It became driver-dependent in terms of what the battles looked like. Right now, Camden Hibbett all smiles as he gets himself ready to go here, it looks like. Not a cloud in the sky in terms of potential rain clouds, at least. Partly cloudy conditions, we're ready to roll.
Yeah, Camden usually has a heart rate monitor on for us as well, but we're going to have to read his thoughts just from his facial expressions and do a calculation to see what his heart rate is at. I bet you it will be high as we get set to go racing here for the 2025 Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League. Thanks again for tuning in. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Justin Prince, Vinny Dakota in race control. It is time to get rolling here. Big thanks to Toyota for putting this on in SRO Motorsports. We go racing in the real world next week, but we preempt that with another round of Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League action here at iRacing. Slow roll to the start line, and it is time to go. Round 7 of the 2025 Toyota GR Cup eSports League is underway. Green flag is in the air, and the field rushes down towards turn 1. Yanni clears Bellarmine. Here comes Hibbett up the outside, 3 abreast there, though, with looks like that might be Nate Stewart on the very outside that's trying to make moves there in the opening corner. 3 abreast with Menzies in the middle.
Some 4 wide, still 3 wide, as Menzies tries to sort himself out. Nate Stewart getting squeezed out a little bit as some of the other drivers go 2 by 2.
No
What
spin.
A perfect start. Oh, here we go. That's that spark that we talked about in the pack. It's McKenzie.
Yeah, McKenzie's going to drop very quickly there, all the way down to dead last, 33rd place as the field works their way through Snake here on this opening moment. Heading up the hill. Here they come, side by side there, and that's Polasek who's gotten shuffled back of the crash in the background. It's John Laus and Major Montsevice and more getting tangled, and big impacts. Max Schweid's caught up in it. Patrick Mason, oh man, you saw Schweid get tank slapped again. And we'll look at that one in a little while, that once the dust settles up front, but here comes Bellarmine for the race lead.
Absolute chaos back there. We'll see if that triggers an instant yellow. We've seen that at Sonoma this season, and there it is. Safety car.
Safety car right out of the gate on the first lap, and it's a big crash there at the back of the field and caused a bunch of people to have to slow up. And for those wondering, and this has been a more persistent tool that this series has used this year, you don't have, I mean, you look at this car. That is a huge hit there for Patrick Mason. You don't have the real world, safety crews and wreckers and things needed to clean up the racetrack, but the reason you throw the yellow is to prevent people from feeling the need to drive through a crash at full speed. And that way you're preventing the accident from getting bigger than it would otherwise be. But this was a big one regardless, and it all starts at corner exit here, and I think Major Montsevice was the first person I saw tumbling down the order. Was it contact with Montello here? No, it was actually Wanshi Lin that got turned around. And was it Lausen?
Yeah, not quite sure there, but it's pure chaos. That's the tough thing in that part of the racetrack. It's line dependent, as we talked about, up to the Snake, where you have to be able to go straight line, as you touched upon earlier. And in this case, a lot of people are fighting for real estate. Already a slight slide alongside the curbing, sparking things along the racetrack. That barrier feeds them right into Lynn and right across the track as everyone has to take evasive action in the grass.
Yeah, and again, it was Max Schweid that got tangled up in it as well. Big hit in the background there for the 92 of Patrick Mason, and then Schweid gets hit again there right at the end. I think that was McKenzie too, wasn't it? Yes, he had just recovered from that crash at the exit of turn 3. So look at the hit that the 92 takes to the back of the shot here, right into the tires. Big hit there for Patrick Mason. And the first lap melee brings this race under yellow. And we've seen a couple of these so far this year, but we'll gather up behind the safety car and try this again. Bellarmine was all over Yanni for the race lead there for a moment, and he'll get a nice restart opportunity to take him down.
You know who didn't get a good start on all of that, by the way? Michael Polasek. He dropped down to 8th spot from the beginning of that race. Just immediately got drop kick with the traffic with some of the 4 wide and just did not get a good start to this race. Just take a look at this. This is right around the top of the incident. There was that spin going over, taken out with Kinsey. And then you can see some side-by-side, try to have some give and take, forced up to the curbing, and then it sparks things up a little bit where Polasek gets moved from behind and it moves him out of the groove and loses all his momentum at the time of the incident.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, he might actually be thankful that there's a yellow flag here to just kind of get a reset, because when you lose all your momentum like this, I mean, this isn't a fast area of the racetrack. If you get on throttle earlier, it's a big benefit, but he ended up holding on to this because the yellow came out moments after that. So he'll get a reset here as well. and the safety car will likely only do one more lap, and we'll get right back to racing. But a big incident triggering a yellow on the opening lap of this race. It's been a long vacation here, Justin, to get back to racing, and so it all just triggered from a simple mistake by John Lowson. Nobody hit each other until Lowson spun out, so it wasn't like there was car contact that triggered that. It was all Lowson spinning back across the road.
Yeah, and getting ricocheted off the barrier for good measure. So, and now this is for many of the drivers a chance to be able to reset a little bit from that start, as you alluded to. For many of these drivers, it's the matter of can they now get a good launch from the restart and get a good jump from the rip. It's going to be important, I think, for Bellman to be able to time it up. If he wants a chance on Yanni immediately to be battle for the race lead, it's going to be, you can see just they're really calm, like Yanni is on screen. Same right now for Michael Polasek, just trying to regroup and drive the car around as they think about what the best maneuver is going to be here, as they're not going to have as much time to be able to work around and battle.
Yeah, it's only going to be about a 15-minute race from here on out, and then of course we have round 8 right after this, immediately after, so you don't get a lot of chance to reset. That's one of the benefits of having this multi-race system, where we used to only race one event per round, and it was a 60-minute race. If you crashed, it was game over, but you have to stick in it. I mean, if you're Logan McKenzie, Max Schweider, or Patrick Mason or others, there's 6-7 cars in the pit lane right now. You can't give up, because you've got a chance to earn points. And if you give up everything because you get wrecked in this first race, you're never going to win a championship. You have to tough it out. You have to shake it off. And though this first race might not do it for you, the next race after, you can certainly recover. See, the lights are out on the safety car as well, Justin, so next time by we'll be back green.
Still going to be a pace lap of about 2.5, 3 minutes to be able to burn more time off the clock here. I'm very curious to see how Polasek responds to all this. You still see some of the other drivers from Impact. They're going to have to think about what their approach is going to be here too. For a lot of these drivers, it's going to be a bit easier towards the racing line per se, but you still might have the opportunity for dive bombs to open up the door for drivers to try and lunge it up the inside of a corner, try and take advantage if they have any sort of mistakes here.
So, safety car will be in this lap, and we'll get ready to go this time through. See the notification there from race control. And as far as the information here for the restart that is relevant, the note to make here about the restart zone is it begins at the tire bundles on the pit lane entry. So it's a pretty early restart zone, and it's going to give you a lot of time to get a slipstream down to turn 1. So you got to be on and ready to take advantage of that, and don't get caught sleeping here.
And that was something covered in depth in terms of the race control briefing to be able to make sure drivers knew about that, to make sure they knew where exactly things were going to be in the start zone. I think for Yanni, it's going to be important to time things up. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an early jump, actually, just to be able to build up extra speed for himself down the straightaway and then build up a couple car length advantage off the initial jump.
Things are looking good, and again, drivers, tense moments here on getting ready for this restart. Camden Hibbett, how about this 16-year-old from Galena, Ohio? Has been in the mix this year, has put a lot of effort into this program, and has really shown up today to perform and do well. So we're curious to see how aggressive he gets here on this restart. And other note from race control, no further action on the 57 and the 4. So it sounds like the 4, I thought he'd spun out on his own, but it sounds like there might have been some contact between the 57 of Townend and the 4 of McKenzie. All right, let's get restarted here. Time to go back racing. Michael Yanni's in command, and you see him right behind the safety car. Headlights flashing on Camden Hibbett's car here just in tense moments before this restart.
Yeah, might be trying to time this up, trying to play a little games right now. Now he's going to back up because he's a little bit too close, I think, to the pace car. We'll see where that jump now lies. If he waits too long, it puts him up for ground maybe for Bellman. Looks like Yanni gonna wait and keep them slow. He wants to wait to the end of the zone, off and away.
immediately jumping back on throttle there, but it's hard to get much of a run in these cars. It's a long, big straightaway. Belleman right behind Michael Yanni, but all performing pretty nicely there. But Christian Menzies in the middle of a 3-wide split there. Paul Darling on the inside. This is tight quarters in the background. Somebody went 3-wide up the inside. That was the 78 of Sudik, I think. No, excuse me, that was the 3 of Wimbley that made it 3-wide on corner entry. That was wild. Here comes Belleman, though, for the race lead. Big clobber of the curbing.
Yeah, he's just attacking those curves right now with those Continentals, trying to make sure he rumbles right up against them, trying to gain as much momentum as possible. Those shocks taking a bunch of abuse around this racetrack, and some of the others, like Soto, moving their way on through and picking up some spots to be able to get single file, to be able to get themselves sorted through to the stake. I'm still curious on how Belleman's going to attack things with Yanni. He's keeping things close. Does he try and send it, or does he wait for a straightaway, or wait for towards the end of this race? There's a lot of choices here with how much Belleman's so quick in the technical parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, and how much? Well, they're battling Keep Hibbett or Brandon Hawken tucked in tow. We saw Hawken move Polasek earlier. Is there hard feelings there as well? Race Control will be watching that for sure. Paul Darling in a new livery here is heading up the back straightaway there, the number 55, chasing the 34 of Castro and others. Look at this side-by-side. Townend and Nate Stewart. Actually, there's Polasek there as well. Door-to-door, mirror-to-mirror up the backstretch.
Was getting a little bit chippy on the radio, now trying to just get chippy there with spots. Belleman does elect to wait here. Remember, it was a game of cat and mouse for those setups for the final 10 minutes of last year before all the haymakers went on. For some of the drivers up front, they have the time to think about it. It's not so much about timing for those in the back. If you're not up in the points and the higher up standings, why not fight? Oh, that's a little bit of a push off there. Looked like Stewart had been near contact.
Yeah, Jake Cummings went for a ride there and got it back on course just in time, but there's still a lot of slicing and dicing going on up at the front, though. Pretty orderly here. They're just trying to keep Polasek separated. They're very line astern right now and letting everyone else in the background battle. That's good. A good strategy by the front runners to basically get single file and coordinate with each other to prevent them from allowing the other drivers in the background back into the fight.
Exactly. If you end up fighting too long, it opens up the door for everybody else. It's going to come back right at you, and in sim race in particular, you see a lot of patience in that regard, where drivers will wait, and plot and plan more than anything else. Nate Stewart, pro in the NASCAR series, just maintaining now, trying to get himself back in the top 10. Good run so far, by the way, for Cameron Martineau. To go to scratch and claw from 18th to 10th so far.
Yeah, there's Cameron Martineau making his return after an injury earlier this year. And whoa, Nate Stewart and Jake Cummings almost having a coming together. And here comes the 97 right by the Tech Sport Racing car and gets that pass complete. Here comes Joshua Soto as well around Nate Stewart. Nate Stewart's gone off and slow at the exit of South Bend.
Wonder if there's a bit of a squeeze off there, or as a result, Nate Stewart losing off the momentum. We've seen that earlier on. Can't confirm there was a bit of a squeeze, and Nate Stewart had to let cars go with the lift. Now it's going wrong in his regard. Here's the lead. Belleman gets the pole.
Belleman alongside Yanni, but on driver's left. Is that the place you want to be here heading into roller coaster? He's going to clear Yanni and take the top spot. So Belleman moves into the first position again. Remember, he swept Sonoma, so he was off to a very strong start early in the year. And now he's got Camden Hibbett right in tow behind Yanni as well.
Yeah, now it's the question of, does Yanni immediately try and go back after the lead? Does the elector go and ride and wait patiently? Oh, they got to be careful about pushing. There is the rule against that. Here comes Yanni. He still takes the run to the inside. Had to take the momentum somewhere.
Yeah, and he's going to take it to the inside lane here, and Camden Hibbett's going to watch all of it right out the windshield. He's got the best seat in the house. Brandon Hawken, the Canadian, right behind as well. Take a swipe, swiper no swiping, and Andre Castro and Paul Darling have joined the fight. Six-way battle for the lead here with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, some intense fighting, some great battling so far from all these drivers so far to be able to set themselves up. I think Belleman is stronger, though, in Sector 2 around this racetrack, up the hillside, gained so much time, he's able to gain so much momentum down the straightaway. Some of the errors like Brandon Hawken and that in this line have been about equal to the race leader, I've noticed, in terms of their momentum swings. There's Bellman once again to the bumper.
Yeah, right there. But if you're better in Sector 2 and you make that pass into roller coaster, that's great, but you're just going to lose the spot into turn 1 every time. So you have to find another place to be advantageous. And I think it's going to require being advantageous leaving Hogpen to make sure that he's got a big enough advantage to hold off Yanni into turn 1. But look at this 6-car train, line of stern. Polasek extending the track there a little bit through the dirt and grass. He's 1.1 behind Paul Darling, so just out of the draft distance. He would love to get back up into this mix and really spice things up like he did last year here.
He is faster than the race leader right now by a few tenths of a second. Here we go again. Bellman takes the run, had to take it somewhere, elects not to just wait on behind, and yet again, takes it to roller coaster to control things, got himself a buffer. It looks like they're just gonna keep swapping for now, like drop swapping almost amongst the two of them with what they're doing on this racetrack. It looks like a bit of a buffer this time though for this corner.
Yeah, the question is does Yanni sit behind him at all here? Is there any strategy to that? They're not like you're trying to save fuel, so you're just gonna probably just go right back at him here lap after lap. You see Camden Hibbett blinking there, some internet issues, internet continuity problems here, and hopefully it doesn't pose him any issues to stay in the server. Here comes Castro up the inside of Brandon Hawken. That's a late lunge, almost tagged Camden Hibbett there.
Making an appearance last time out in Chicago for the Xfinity Series recently in NASCAR. Not able to get himself going on the outside. Give and take. He's one of the drivers with real-world experience we've touched upon. So he's got a lot of racecraft to be able to know when's it good to be side by side, when is it not. Able to get lined up as Sudik. So far, no bad luck going his way. He's been able to get through a gauntlet of traffic in terms of incidents. Nearly snapped it around with some bad clattering of the curbing that time, though.
Yeah, a lot of battling that's really fun to watch back here. Bellman hung on to the lead that time through turn 1. You see the battle now, just 3 cars. Polasek has closed the gap to Castro, so he's in this mix, but the front 3 are trying to break away. I just don't know how successful they're going to be with that because they're racing very, very hard. A little bit of a drop off the right side of the road there for Bellman through South Bend, but again, looking really nice now. And Bellman, again, his season, he's won 2 races to Yanni's 4. Yanni swept the last 2 rounds. Bellman swept at Sonoma. Could he get himself back up on top? Could he sweep this round and be tied at 100 points each for Bellman and Yanni? Or I guess it would be more than that now once you total everything up. But they would be tied if that's the scenario leaving this event.
It's definitely got to be a bit on the mind here, but in the moment itself, you're thinking more so. Can you survive? Can you get yourself that spot? Look at this again. Another swap, another pull. And it might be down to a math equation here on, are you legitimately going to be in position on the right lap to win this race? The math says each of these drivers will get 2 times to make that swap right now, Kyle. And the tough thing is right now, if you play the musical chairs game, it'd be Bellman, Yanni. So that might come into play a little bit here if Bellman elects to try and change that status quo, like right now in turn 1, which is going to be important for that musical chair.
Yeah, he's going to drive up the inside here. You're exactly right. This just becomes a game, a strategy game, where you have to think a couple moves ahead. The problem is like this is like the Super Bowl. Imagine the Super Bowl if there was 33 teams that showed up. You've got so many strategy plays that if you make one move to defeat one driver, you might lose to another. You've got Camden Hibbett right here in this mix as well. You've got Brennan Hawken and Darling and Castro. So Yanni and Bellman in a vacuum, yes, you're exactly as you've described. That strategy would work out as such. And you know, if it doesn't work out that way because you've got a third driver in the mix, then throw all your guesses out the window. Look at Townend chasing the car.
Yeah, got a little bit archy-barchy that time with Castro, who lost some ground, it looks like. While Darwin's lost the lead graph, Michael Polasek has been able to move his way ahead of all those in that pack.
Yeah, just got a little bit muscled here. Let's go back a little further and watch how this started. Right here, watch Polasek in the 45, ducks up the inside real late here. And actually, you see Paul Darling got tagged by Castro, and that's what held him up and got him passed by a couple of cars.
Was some chippiness on the radio, I believe, with Castro noting that he did not like that send from Polasek. That that did cost them almost 2 seconds. In fact, more than 2 seconds as a result there. So top 4 now have a buffer to play. Under 6 minutes to work with. Yet again, swap draft, a mathematical equation. Right now, it's still in Bellman's interest to be able to try and fight it out a little bit. But if you do the math right now, he'd still get an advantage for the final lap if they keep swapping back and forth in this pattern for roller coaster.
See him, he looks a little bit tense, I'll be honest. We've talked about how calm drivers look at times, but he looks a little bit like he's feeling it now. Here's Yanni's on board, and he's always just very stoic behind the wheel. Doesn't let his emotions come out, at least till the end of the day, whether he wins or loses. Wears his heart on his sleeve there, but just clinical at the moment. Line of stern into turn 1, 5 minutes to go.
Bellman knows, doesn't need to push the issue. This lap, that's where the math goes. And it's going to be interesting how many laps we get, as you said. Under 5 minutes to go, it's teetering between 3 and 4 estimated laps, it looks like right now. So it depends really on how these next few moments go for some of these drivers and how intensely they fight. For others like Hibbett and Hawken, the most you can do at this point is just go along for the ride and wait and see if things boil over to open up a chance for you to maybe get the second to then the next lap go for the race lead.
Yeah, certainly. And the other driver to watch here, Camden Hibbett, I just think, you know, he's got so much experience. As long as he stays in the server, he might not. And that is going to be catastrophic right at the end of the broadcast. Oh, that is heartbreaking for Hibbett. Dropped out. Internet was not having it today. What a shame. He'll be frustrated by that. But I was going to say, he's got a lot of experience, even in real-world one-make racing, where, you know, sitting in third in line, he's going to be right in the catbird seat for things to pop off. But that's going to put Brandon Hawken in kind of the command position here. You see at the note from race control, no one penalized for that lap 1 collision. I don't think there was really anybody to blame. It was an accident for sure. And again, your leaders, contact side by side.
Getting a little bit argy-bargy yet again. Bellman, once again, getting set up to where he gets the pole, to where next lap he lets Yanni go. Then Bellman for the final lap strikes for the spot. Now the major thing is going to be, can Yanni get the pole this lap or the next to break up that pattern here, get a send up into the horseshoe to be able to break up that pattern. That's going to be the big thing. It looks like he's trying to set something up. Bellman's already going defensive knowing this.
3 minutes to go. So again, next time by will be the white flag lap. Here comes Yanni, kind of sniffing the rear bumper of Bellman here. Nose to tail into turn 1, doesn't take the bite. Polasek last time by a little bit slower than Brandon Hawken, but much quicker than Michael Yanni, so did close slightly, 2.3 up to this top 3. I don't think he's going to get there unless there's some drama, but there's that second pack. Polasek, Menzies, Darling, Castro.
Yeah, Polasek at this point just has to take the points and be able to move forward here. Lost a lot of spots earlier on, and good recovery for him, but all this is setting up front. Look at this with how much they're attacking these curves right now. Yeah, you could see.
This next shot on the right here, Justin, he just absolutely clobbers it, and this is a driver that is trying to find and use every inch of the racetrack. Watch how aggressive he is over that curbing.
Yeah, lifts him up as he cuts across to the right. A lot of speed, being able to withstand. A lot of use of the Yukon brakes, mind you, to be able to get the balance right. A bit of a clip of the grass. Bellman got a little bit squirrely with his Continentals there, able to hold on, but still gets it on 1X with the off track.
Yeah, and Yanni got a great run. He used all the curbing on the inside. He's going to draft up alongside Bellman once again, and just look how relaxed. Like he's looking at an Excel spreadsheet up the back straightaway, just absolutely clinical. Here he comes, side by side, takes the lead away, and Brandon Hawken's going to try to pick, and he's learning everything that these front two are doing, and he can apply this knowledge next time around.
Yeah, just not enough pull to get alongside, but he is in a great spot if these cars boil over here. He'll take advantage.
Whoa, trouble. Castro turned around.
He's not going to be happy about that one. That in the final sector. Take a look, was on the outside, and That was actually more so on him.
Yeah, he got in there.
Sending it.
Yeah, got it inside of Paul Darling, and those two had come together a little bit earlier as well. Remember, that was sort of what triggered Paul Darling to get half spun and caused Castro to lose all those spots in the first place. Here comes Bellman to the outside. Yanni fades right, doesn't take the bait as they come on through. And this is now the last lap here. I believe the white flag has flown, and indeed it has. So this is the last lap of the race.
Final time around, and now Bellman has this right where he wants to be right now, Kyle. We've seen him swap and be able to mathematically add things up for that run up to roller coaster. Now it's going to be the tough part, though. We know Michael Yanni is going to be pretty aggressive, maybe on the defensive maneuvers. That's going to be the tough thing, is making sure Bellman makes no contact when he gets that pull for the long straightaway.
Watch them climb the S's here. It's going to be straight lining as much as they can. You're not going to necessarily go for a pass in this area. You're setting up for the run up Madison Avenue to roller coaster, turn 14, like we went over in the Continental Track preview here. Here's Bellman all over Yanni. Wipers wiping, trying to clear the windshield of dirt and dust. Hawken waiting to pick up the pieces here. And one more run, a little contact there, and that's going to cause Bellman to lose a bunch of time. That's not what he needed.
That's the worst possible scenario, and I think he knows he just cost himself. That one slide cost him all the momentum. Brandon Hawkins saying, I'm going to take advantage. Give me some points.
Yeah, and this is, again, going to help Michael Yanni massively in the season here. If he can just lock down another 25-point race win, this will be a huge benefit. A little bit of contact there side by side. Headed into roller coaster for the final time, and they're really close to the leader, though. They got awful close to the rear bumper of Michael Yanni, Justin.
All for them send it deep on those outbound brakes, deeper into the corner, be able to stick him, but Brandon Hawkins still that preferred line for Hogpen, coming up to the final stretch.
Coming back to the checkered flag there. For a second, it's going to be a battle. I think Bellman might get there. Checkered flag, though, for Michael Yanni. He's going to pick up his 5th win of the season and extend his championship advantage for second place. So it's a drag race that Hawken will win by a nose. Polasek 4th over Menzies. And there's look at this battle coming to the checkers. Paul Darling, Jake Cummings, Josh Soto, and more in this group. Wow, what a battle there.
Yeah, that started with a bit of chippiness. The matter still battling it out. Gonna have to dodge some cars that are stopping after the start and finish line. Charles Wimbley getting the edge over Lynn. But what a finish, and it all sparked on that one mistake by Bellman. That one slide coming out of Oak Tree cost him the opportunity to build up the run and put him right up for grabs for Brandon Hawken. That plays perfectly into Yanni's chances for the championship.
Yeah, quick look here at the results. Well, we've got a moment to look at them before the session turns over. Michael Yanni by 0.9 of a second. It was just a couple hundredths between Hawken and Bellman. But look at the battle from Brett Gardner on down. 8.2, 8.3, 8.3. Those are tight margins there for position. Andre Castro 16th. That'll be disappointing for him. But Polasek a P4. Again, I think he's capable of winning, but just got tangled up early on in the race. He'll have to undo that here for race 2. Remember that we grid by the finishing order of this first race.
Indeed, and that's going to open up a chance for Hawken to maybe pull off a bit of an upset in terms of the point standings. We know the speed's been there for Hawken. We know he's a fast road course ringer. He might have the chance, but also great shout out to Menzies. He got top 5 out of this race too. Cameron Martineau in his return, a top 10. Joshua Soto doing what I thought he was kind of going to do, move up from that mid-pack where he's not so good at qualifying and performing the race.
Looking down the rest of the results here, drivers like Major Monsivice, they certainly would like another go at it. Camden Hibbett dropped out with his internet right at the tail end of the race. That is a huge shame. And I think, he'll be fighting from the back in race 2, which is an even bigger shame because I think he could have really sliced and diced for the race win here tonight. But he'll have to look forward to Road America in August to really have a shot. I'm not saying it's impossible to go from 27th to 1st in race 2. It's just very unlikely. But that's your race results here. We've got a short session turnover time. But this next race, as we move through the progression of the race weekend, is going to take place in morning time here, Justin. So we had over 120-degree track temp earlier. It's going to be a lot cooler than that now. It is track temp 75 degrees now as opposed to 120 plus like it was in the last race.
A lot more grip in terms of being able to make things stick with the Continentals around the corners. But better yet, it seems, for a lot of these drivers, it's an opportunity to maybe build a little bit extra speed. That pace going to be just that little bit higher for a lot of these competitors around this racetrack. There's that temperature you talked about, 75, with the morning conditions. It is pretty windy, mind you. Currently 9 miles an hour to the west in terms of some of those windy conditions. We'll see if that ends up playing a factor into the corners.
Yeah, the other thing is the humidity is 91% here as well. That's a very humid morning. Checks out for Virginia at this time of year. It can be a real gnarly there. Ask me how I know. Well, again, we'll be headed there in the real world. So while we're here, we should tell you about a couple of things that are going on in the SRO universe at the moment. We've got, of course, the real world Toyota GR Cup series here at VIR next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be again, practicing on Friday, qualifying and racing on Saturday and Sunday right here on GT World. You can watch that. The return of SRO Motorsports America in general is back next weekend as well. And the other thing to note, July 31st, a couple of weeks from now, the new eSports and DJ sort of combination stream that is called SRO Track Limits, presented by Yuko Raid. That will be on July 31st. Really cool. That is an esports event using Assetto Corsa Competizione, some GT3 races. We're headed to Coda next. It's a quick 25-minute race followed up by a DJ set from Yuko Raid. And if you're in the SRO Discord, you'll have been following along with Yuko Raid. He actually threw the green flag for one of the races at Coda earlier in the year. A really cool integration, and it's a very well produced, I must say. Joined by Rachel, who's known as Seltzer on Twitch for that one. So looking forward to the next one. So make sure you join us on twitch.tv/SRO Motorsports. And you can find myself and DJ Clark back on the SRO Motorsports Twitch next weekend as well, with Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coverage of all of the SRO action, including practice day with broadcast coverage that you can't find anywhere else. So that's what's coming up next in the week of SRO. Justin, it's been kind of a nice summer break here, but it is good to be back in the action. You can tell the drivers in the mid-pack were a little rusty, but those right up at the front were right back on it.
And it's not surprised that they're right in the swing of things with so many different things in the sim going on to be able to keep them fresh. But for this type of racing, the best of the best just perform. I know how generic that may sound, but there's no other way to put it when you have someone like Yanni, like Hawken, like Bellman, and Polasek running the conversation right from the get-go. It was stated with qualifying, there were no major surprises in terms of those running orders. For many of these drivers, though, it's also going to be important to make sure they keep themselves focused for this second race, be able to maintain points for Michael Yanni. He's going to likely get into some intense battling. That start for Bellman going to be also critical to get around Brandon Hawking fast, to be able to have a chance to be able to move around the 23 and be able to go back and forth like they did in the last race.
Yeah, certainly something to note. Should also mention that a couple of the drivers here, Jake Cummings and Brett Gardner in particular, running with, and Max Schweid, we'll add him to the list, are running Tech Sport Racing logos and colors. Tech Sport Racing is based here at VIR. They've got a shop right up the road, basically inside the property here at VIR. So if you are coming to VIR next week, Tech Sport shop is right there as well. But Justin, coming back to you here before we get onto our second race, because we've got again, now we've got basically a race a month now until the end of the season. And after this, here Apollo's joined us now. After this race, we've got about a month until we head to Road America for our next round, and then we head to Barber and Indianapolis. So we get very different racetracks from here on out. Can anybody upset and really gather momentum to take Yanni down now with 5 wins recorded on the season?
But the championship point standings, it depends on if Yanni makes a major mistake and it opens up opportunity for points in any of those races. The thing is, he hasn't shown any major mistakes. He's been quick wherever we've gone. I would say it's a tougher task than some may think to have a chance to be able to take away those points from Yanni. But in terms of anybody else that can provide upsets to win races, I think someone like a Hawken or a Darling can get the job done at a track like Road America, where you have a law draft factor in terms of that. So there is some chances for overall wins. I think the championship, though, Yanni is in a very comfortable position as long as he attends and as long as he survives to the checker flag in races.
All right, so we've had a little bit of time progression here as we're set up about 9:30 a.m. Local time here in virtual VIR. Track temperature is now spiked up a little bit, 87 degrees, but still a far cry from the over 120 that we saw earlier in the race weekend here. So cars are lined up. Michael Yanni will be taking his spot on pole. You're looking at the Brendan Hawken machine there in second place, that 98 Sucker Punch car. And then behind, it's Polasek, Belleman, Menzies, Townend, Cummings, and more. And that will be on the left-hand side of your screen there, the running position for this race. What did we learn?
What did we learn?
Yeah.
Well, we learned that math is important because it's important to make sure you add up how many estimated laps are left by the time you get to roller coaster to be able to position yourself, and it determines how aggressive you get to horseshoe. It also is important to make sure you maintain momentum and keep nearly to the bumper but not making contact up the hillside to be able to set yourself up for Oak Tree. You make a slide, you're likely going to cost yourself in this type of a race here today. So it's so important to make sure you limit mistakes by the time you get to turns 11 and 12 if you want a chance to be able to move forward here.
Andre Castro a little slow out of the pits. That was interesting. Not sure what was going on there, but did get back rolling. Race Control has noted that several drivers were cutting turn 4B, and I think as far as what corner 4B is, it's one of these here. I believe it's this right-hander, and that's if you're using too much curbing, you get the center line of the car over the grass. That will trigger a slowdown, and that's in a bad part of the racetrack to get a slowdown, Justin, because you need to be on throttle all the way up through the snake and the S's.
Yeah, it costs you, like we've seen for some of the drivers, 5-6 positions potentially. It's absolutely frustrating when it comes to this. So you have to be able to time things up as Race Control looks to keep themselves nice and calm, hopefully, for race number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in the Race Control graphic because this is what this is for. This is a real quote from our Race Control. My watch keeps telling me my heart rate's too high, if you're wondering how stressed I am. So 137 BPM right now. That is a lot. So Race Control doing the work right now. Finney DeCuna behind the scenes, keeping everybody from doing race car driver stuff. This is a very competitive environment, Justin, and certainly in the world of esports, there's a lot of drivers that are very, very passionate and they're very talented. So when things come to blows, it can be a high-stress environment. But the whole idea of this series, just like the real world, not going to knock someone out of the way to win this championship.
Yeah, and it's been respectful racing up at the front all day long so far and most of the season when it comes to the race lead. It's expected. It's a privilege to be able to race a series like this. And you have to be able to race clean if you want to build respect as drivers here, Kyle. So for a lot of these drivers, it's about finding ways to make clean passes and not getting uber aggressive here. That was one of the main cons by everybody up at the front, was they felt good in terms of how fun it was on the battle. Let's keep it up.
We'll get things going. Two drivers are not going to start this race from what I can tell. Logan McKenzie and John Lausen have not started this race. Max Schweid will start all the way at the tail of the field after getting caught up in a collision. He's been waiting for a while to get into this series and was taken out not of his own doing, just involved in that collision on the opening lap. But there he is, and getting set to go here in a little while. As the field rolls down the hill, it's about time to get rolling. Predictions here, Justin. Is Yanni going to close this one out and lock it up?
That's a tough question. It depends really on how well things play out off this initial start. I think he's got a good shot at it to be able to do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bellman throws another punch.
Michael Yanni, Brendan Hawken, side by side for the start of round 8 of Toyota GR Cup North America's Esports League. Green flag again at VIR. Great launch by Yanni, and Thomas Belleman pulls up alongside Hawken before we get to turn 1, fanning out 3 across. Watch Polasek of the green and blue car, center of the road, and 3, maybe 4 wide there at the moment, just for a brief second as they filter through turn 1.
Much calmer off the start. It was 4 wide in the top 10 off race 1 start. Oh, that was a deep send by Hawken, though. Had to plant it a little bit deeper on the throttle, and with those alcohol brakes, trust that the brakes would make the car stick to really hold on to second. And that's the exact start Hawken needed. Bellman got a decent run, but couldn't get the pass done.
This is gonna make me nervous here running through Snake when things are really tight. Drivers hopping over curbs and trying to straight line it as best they can. You see in the back Nate Stewart there in the Simrat Market car, pretty caught up in this traffic as they head up through the S's. This is all full throttle, very easy to let the car wander over a bit too far. Andre Castro's there as well. Belleman, Polasek, Hawken chasing Yanni right now over South Bend for the first time in race 2.
And Hawken, I'm noticing, isn't as close as they think he might want to be here, even in the early going to Yanni. Up that straightaway, this is what we were mentioning earlier. When he was third in line, he was about equal at best to what Yanni was doing in the traffic jam. So I'm not surprised to see Bellman try and get him to get some momentum built up, get the straightaway speed up to close it up as Max White still making his way on through. A much better start.
Yeah,
7 spots.
I was going to say 7 spots is a lot on this opening lap, so maybe the qualifying wasn't the display that he wanted, but he certainly got racecraft for it. See him chasing now Nicholas Sudik and more, and Andre Castro has had another incident, and you see cars going off here in roller coaster, and there's Castro, and was it Russell Soto this time? He getting tangled up with a lot of members of that team tonight, and it was not his own doing. Wow, the 50 got tagged.
Not a great round. He didn't get going, I think, with an issue from the starting blocks. Wow!
Oh.
That was terrible luck. Wonder what I think something obviously happening. There's potential contact with the car behind. Yeah, right here. He's just driving along and then boom shakalaka off the track.
Yeah, that's going to be it for Castro tonight. Frustrating round here for him, I believe. But Thomas Belleman going by Hawken here, not going to wait too much longer. And here comes Polasek sticking the nose in to the inside of the 98.
Able to pull on through, and Bellman, I'm not surprised, got that aggression out there. He's going to make that pass with how much time Hawken was losing before. Oh, Townend getting squeezed over the curbing. Jake Cummings does not want to give up this spot, though. Still keeping it on throttle.
Yeah, that was really dicey there. They did not want to give up or give in, and they're still side by side through the S's. You're going to have a hard time doing this, boys. I don't know that this is going to work out, but they've done it so far, and they're now back single file. Cameron Martineau in the mix, top 10 after his return from his injury earlier in the year.
He's been a top 10 driver whenever we've seen him in this series. He's kind of showcasing why he is one of the more respected drivers with STR in this series.
Whoop.
A lot of people using a lot of off tracks there. Everybody gets a 1X.
Yeah, add that to the list as well. Don't want to get yourself this track, I don't think you're going to necessarily be dancing on the edge with the incident limit as much as you were at a place like Coda. Here comes Belleman for the race lead, and we're back to it again, not too far into this race.
Right down to the mathematical equation in terms of making swaps, making passes here. And this is going to be important to make sure Bellman to change that equation a little bit to add that sense of aggression. Yanni looking like he might have a chance to build up a run if he wants it here, Kyle. It looks like he wants it, just pulls along to the outside.
Yeah, and all this is bringing Hawken and Polasek right back into the mix. Christian Menzies is there as well. Side by side across the line. That time Yanni led the lap by 36 thousandths of a second. Here comes Hawken right in behind. Where do you go? Maybe between them.
Well, I don't know if three wide's going to work really for the Sen. You can make it work side by side for a moment, but in terms of making passes, I don't think it's going to work in terms of that unless there's a major wiggle that opens up the door in the first place. Hawken, I think, is a top 3 car here, but the thing is, Polasek going to be right in position here to be able to try and see if he can leapfrog, and we know how aggressive Polasek's been in the braking zones.
Second pack 2 is also having a pretty good fight there, all behind Blake Townend, Jake Cummings. These two throwing a lot of sparks at each other last time around. Here it is a lap ago as they work their way through Snake. They just started leaning on each other right here and almost went south.
Yeah, very lucky that Townend was able to squeeze on through on the edge of the curbing there just a little bit Bit of a wash up by Cummings, and see the archy-barginess as Cummings probably thinks, give me some give and take, lift for me. But as we said, momentum is so important up the hillside, and neither driver wanted to give in on momentum.
Yeah, they just got sort of out of phase there. I mean, if they were hitting each other just right, it wouldn't have been such a big deal, but they got out of phase with the left-right combinations, ended up having a couple of shortcuts there. But Yanni Bellman, once again, door to door. It's a top 5 breakaway at the front of the field with still 19 minutes to go, and these two, again, kind of dancing and it's working out. They're basically tossing the lead back and forth between each other in the same spot in the roller coaster every time, and they're playing the game here, making this easy for the other to slot back in line.
That's the respect we expect in this type of a series, with back and forth battling, clean passes, just taking the slipstream, or it may be. One thing I'm noticing, Yanni is a little bit more larger in terms of some of the gaps compared to Bellman. Coming out of honk pen, just able to get those extra little boosts here to be able to get the speed down.
Look at Polasek.
What did I say? Deep in the braking zones. He showed it right there.
Yeah, I mean, he just came from a long ways back and just made a pass and made it look easy. And now you really have to worry about that green and blue car. He's going to go on defense here into NASCAR. That was well done, because you don't want to let someone sneak up your inside after you just did it to them. But Polasek, reigning champion of the series, building some confidence here after a bit of a tough opening race to the night.
Yeah, fell as deep as 8. Remember, once again, when it came to that race, and he kind of showcased his ability to make passes, to be able to get back up inside the top 5 at least. But right now, he seems laser focused on one thing, closing up the gap, maybe seeing if there's a chance to get alongside Bellman and take away second here, and be able to get himself into that draft switching position. Polasek really lasered in up the hillside that time.
Look at this mess back here. Nick Yanni, Paul Darling, Brett Gardner into Oak Tree. Ooh, a little hop and a skip for Darling. Pushes Yanni out wide onto the edge of the concrete there, but now it's a drag race up the backstretch.
Drop perfectly to Garner if he wants to take it here. Looks like he is offset 3 wide. Tough thing's going to be, will someone get some give and take with this 3 wide, especially with some of the offset? It looks like no one give it in.
Yeah, that's going to work out badly, and Darling, you know, discretion is the better part of valor there. And Paul Darling is a real-world racer in his own right, has a car that he runs in a grassroots racing series, and he's always been a very respectful racer, a very well-calculated racer there. That was a calculated risk, and once the calculation was output and divide by 0, he backed out of that and made sure he wasn't going to run into anybody. So 16 minutes to go, top 5 breakaway here. The dark horse here is Menzies. We haven't really talked a lot about Christian Menzies this year, but coming in, I mean, it surprised me looking at the point standings. Comes in 6th. He's had 2 finishes outside the top 30, but everything else has been a top 10 this year, including 2 fourths at Sebring.
I've seen him race across the platform on the road course side, and he's always been pretty decent when it comes to his Team Satellite racing. Always been able to keep himself at least top 10 speed. And I think he's kind of been that in this championship. Showed some improvement from last season too, where we see some starts from him in 2024. Right now, he's in a great position to be able to have a good points day. Once again, get a good points finish for the overall championship. If he is able to keep on scoring results like this, keep himself in the conversation.
Doing a nice job there. Going back to that battle for 6th place, Jake Cummings and Blake Townend, they have marched the horse forward a little bit more, with Soto and Cameron Martineau in trail as well. Background there, I think that was Camden Hibbett. How about his storyline here? We talked about him starting deep in the field, 27th to 16th plus 11 in the first 10 minutes of this race.
And recover from the technical issue. Didn't return back for the race to be able to score whatever points at the very end. I don't think that would have mattered too much anyway. But for Hibbett, the facial expression says it all. He's disappointed about what happened, obviously, in the first race, technical-wise. Had a great points day lined up, and he knows that gremlin could very well cost him a ton of points in the table. Was looking for a second top 5 on the season.
Yeah, you chalk it up in the sim racing world, internet-related issues, hardware-related issues, it's just mechanical failures, right? But it's frustrating because you often don't really have the ability to do anything about those, right? So it can be an annoying way to have an event go off. But this is a little bit of an old penalty, but the 50 car, Russell Soto, was given a 10-second penalty for the contact at turn 14. That was the issue with Andre Castro that retired both of those cars from the race. And up front, Belleman leads, and here comes Polasek and Yanni, the two drivers that really ran away with things last year in the championship standings.
Polasek trying to make a move on the outside. He's kind of proving he's getting a little bit antsy here. Wants to make a move on Yanni or Belleman, whoever's second at this point. As mentioned, get himself in that spot to slipstream for the race lead, because all he likes to do is win. He likes to win. He likes to be up front. It's the reason he was a championship threat as he was last year with the title fight, and be able to come away with said title. Now, it's the matter of, is he going to be able to pick the right time? Right now, the tough thing is, there are opportunities. It's just they aren't smart opportunities. He wants to get a pass done, but also wants to get it done in a spot where it's not going to cost him a ton of time if he loses the ground and then puts him back up for grabs for Brandon Hawking. Then it's a reset of race one again.
Remember, there's also cash prizes on the line here, not only for the championship, but for individual races. So, you know, the race one for Polasek is still paid out, but not very much. It's a much bigger payout to go win the race. And Yanni up alongside Belleman for a moment. And Polasek watching from third place here. He's going to go with Yanni. No, he knows Yanni very, very well from all the battling they did last year. And this is smart. Follow him through, have the inside line. That was very tight.
A little bit of the elbows out there. And nothing Belleman can do except say, if you want to send it that deep, you go ahead and have it. There's that racecraft we've seen from Polasek. There's a reason with this style of racing. It's one of the top drivers you can put in the race car to be able to contend for wins. He competes in the on-racing endurance events like this. Also, already going defensive because he knows this is where he wants to be. He wants the lead now.
And he's going to go for it. Polasek takes the lead, crossover from Michael Yanni. What a pass, what a battle going on here at the front.
Again, deep on the Ocon brakes to be able to lunge it on through, make it stick. Now, he's trying to control the equation. You do the math, about 6 estimated at the stripe last time by, coming up to 5 estimated laps to work with in this time frame, give or take. Right now he's in a decent spot for if they swap. Things are getting a little bit argy-bargy in the mid-pack though.
Yeah, things are getting really wild back here. That's why I jumped back. I saw things getting pretty dicey on the ticker. Big slide there for Cameron Martineau. He's side by side with Jake Cummings. 3 wide, that's not gonna work. Here comes Josh Soto to the inside. 3 wide heading into the S's. This math doesn't work. You've been talking about calculations. This one is gonna spit out an error in the calculator. 3 wide still through the S's, unbelievable. And there goes Soto through the grass. Something had to give, and it was Soto.
That was not going to work in 1,000 days. Soto thought he would have an opportunity to hold on and maybe clear himself a little bit. Instead, he gets him sent all the way towards the back of the pack with a massive cut through to the grass through Narnia. Kevin Hibbett, meanwhile, reported by family members that he has thunderstorms in the area. That's what cost him the technical gremlins. He's got 3 wide yet again.
Yeah, this was the replay here. Sorry about that, but here he comes up the hill. And watch his perspective of this. I mean, you can't do that. And right there, you see why. What a performance that. Let's go scroll it back a little further even and see how this, you see Soto, he's the one that made it 3 wide. He felt optimistic about it, but nobody gave. Paul Darling's on board.
Yeah, that squeezing right there. That was a 2 wide corner by that point. At that point, Soto forced off the curbing, gets a bit of contact. The argy-barginess a bit too much. Martineau does have the give and take. You can see right there. You can see Martineau's tentativeness in the first place because he's like, something's got to give, something's got to give. But the tough thing is, Soto, if he backs off, he goes into 3 wide in the next pack instead.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the way that he went off was actually about as cleanly as he could have gone off. If he stayed on the track another 2 seconds, he would have gotten sent off even harder on the outside of South Bend, so he lucked out there. top 5 drivers are still battling. Yanni's taking it back from Polasek here, so kind of reestablishing the status quo for the time being. But 9 minutes to go, and the drivers everywhere around this course have just taken the gloves right off.
So much archy-barchiness when it comes to the mid-pack right now, but things have been respectful in this top 5. They've pulled 7 seconds on the rest of the field. Last time by, they are up to more than a second quicker than everybody else. They are flying.
Yeah, well, they're flying, and also 3 wide of the S has slowed up the next group a lot too.
Right.
But they are cruising. I mean, lap times, you know, about 6/10 slower than their best of the day, and that's even still battling. So all that aside, we also got one warning out of this, at least one for the time being, and it was for the 51 car of Brett Gardner. Camden Hibbett has gotten shuffled off track, and that's unfortunate because he was making really good progress.
Maybe a little bit too aggressive. Let's see what happened here.
Oh, he had a slowdown.
Oh, yeah, and that might have been slowdown from one of the previous corners there. Just quite simply, remember what we talked about with race control briefing?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Cross more than halfway in the plane. Going to be at least 3/4 of the race car. That's a corner cut. Puts him in lost ground.
Yep, and he won't do that again. That burns you so much. What little you gain by putting the center line over the edge of the curb like that, you're going to lose tenfold. So that penalty system is robust, and it is absolutely costly to get it wrong. But Michael Yanni leads the way. Polasek has a push from Bellarmine. Does he do anything with it? He does not. He's going to sit on this now. But he is just toying with Yanni at this point. How many times last year did these two run nose to tail the entire race, and Polasek stole one at the end?
A few times, to say the very least.
Go back to VIR, but also Coda. Think back to that race as well. That was a steal.
Yeah, there were so many in terms of the battles. Minneapolis, Polasek was in one with control as well that I can think of. There was a lot of speed last year when it came to those two, Yanni and Polasek, where they just went back and forth, but it was Polasek that had the better consistency. This season has been a lot more different in terms of that script, of how things have gone for him. But still, Martineau amongst those in focus here, trying to keep up in this lead group. He's kind of stayed in place, hasn't been able to move up, hasn't lost ground, has just been riding along and watching the popcorn break out between Townend and Cummings and Darling in this.
Yeah, watching the popcorn is a great way to say it. Nate Stewart also had a couple troublesome rounds here this year, but 17th to 10th in this race, so things are going a little bit better this time around. And Bellarmine putting pressure on Polasek here.
Saying, you know what, if you're not going to make a move here, if you're just going to ride, I'm going to try and make some moves here. Polasek recognizing it, just tucks back in line. Why not? Look at that, though. Menzies wanting to take advantage and use the pull. That was a little bit too deep on the braking zone. Nearly set himself with the back of Polasek. That cost him so much momentum to have to reset.
Brandon Hawken is going to hang on to 4th for now, but definitely you see him focused right now. He knows how much pressure Menzies is going to apply. It's 8 seconds back to the next car. But this is two Canadians going at it right now for P4.
Oh, Canada indeed amongst them, to say the very least. But so I can our penalty coming over the bullets in the 41 machine, picking up a penalty, and Monsivais.
Yep, sorry about that, Justin. Yeah, Monsivais, who's already down to 26, so has not had a great day regardless. Camden Hibbett, again, is slow, and does he have contact this time, or is it another slow down? Well, he's had that damage.
Yeah, sent it a little bit too deep on the outside, trying to make something stick. Just sent himself off the racetrack wide.
Yeah, he's really had this race figured out and has undone all of the progress in the last couple of laps, and they're mostly self-induced, which makes things even more frustrating because you bought all those positions yourself and you sold them really to the highest bidder. And climbing up the hill again through the climbing S's, such a famous part of this racetrack. for a good reason. A lot of compression, full throttle. Oop, there's Nick Yanni and Brett Gardner off. Oh, spin. Nate Stewart is off track to the inside, and that's a bad place to come back on the road. He's going to huck it to the right and keep it from being a much bigger problem.
Yeah, that was all started again with Jake Cummings getting a little bit aggressive. Got sent sideways and right into Stewart on the rejoin, it looked like. At the same time, Stewart was trying to maybe make a pass on Cameron Martineau.
That is
Bad timing.
Yeah, that is nightmare fuel. Had the grass been wet, that would have been a big incident, but we're lucky that the grass is nice and grippy today, so he managed to prevent that from being a much bigger deal. Look at this Hornet's Nest back here for 17th.
Starting to see the regression once again with Cole Hooper back there, but Hooper up 8. Not a bad race. Kevin Roll, remember, was the only person in the entire field not to get a qualifying time in during race 1. Not bad there. Look at this though. Once again, Yanni opened the bottom. Polasek yet again trying to follow the open door. Try and follow the car that has the most momentum here. Just couldn't get the clear this time.
Yeah, side by side here for second place. Belleman leads. I don't know. I think Belleman might be the second or third quickest of the cars here at the front. I think Yanni's still the fastest in raw pace, but we put Belleman out front. It's going to keep things tightened up here between Yanni and Polasek. Hawken and Menzies, I don't know that they've got the pace to win this race, but they're certainly there to pick up the pieces, and it's about 4.5 miles of racing left.
Yeah, right now Yanni in particular has been so good in the more tougher corners in terms of the braking zones, in terms of how technical you need to be, and that's why he's pulled such a good gap on some of the cars at times, but been able to pull in the draft like some of the others. But Bellman's been good to be able to close up the hillside. That's been the equalizer, the straightaways for him. It's just how the matter of the draft model works and how these cars have a lot of buildup and suction between them to be able to close back up and get things, well, right into the mixture for a run. Yanni, good example. Big head of steam, 6 miles an hour quicker. Take it somewhere, take it to the inside.
And Polasek going to watch all this from third place and try to pick his path through. 5-second penalty for the 97 to Jake Cummings for the unsafe rejoin that tagged the number 5 and 8 Stewart. So that will send him backwards a couple of positions as the leaders filter themselves out for a brief moment. Have Brett Gardner and Nate Stewart side by side into roller coaster, and just ahead of them, Darling and Townend racing down through roller coaster.
Darling, remember, has been sent sideways a few times here today. Race 1 was a bit of a disaster for him. The Michigan-based driver able to get at least to the head of this pack. Now, will that stand here is the question. Likely going to be the final time around based on the time. Bellman trying to make it stick on the outside.
Yeah, while those drivers battle, you see the white flag waving, so 3.2 miles remaining here, and Yanni and Bellman are side by side. Polasek is going to try to pick the pocket here, but he's got to see which driver's not paying attention and looking behind him. A little bit of a squeeze there, Bellman on Yanni, and here comes Polasek looking for second, but he can't go for it. It would ruin both their opportunities to win this race.
Bellman wasn't fully clear. Try to clear, just missed it by a razor's margin. That's what sent him wide a little bit there. Now the pressure is on for those top two. Looks like Yanni going full aggression up the hillside.
Yeah, it's time to go. Michael Yanni is going to take this advantage here. He would really like Polasek and Bellman to fight it out to the end. And always so cool inside the race car right now. Door to door through the climbing S's here at VIR in the last lap of the race.
The first time really the lead's been side by side up the hillside like this. Polasek trying to pick a spot, but Hawken sends it on in. Now the question, who gets a good run? They're too busy battling for second as Bellman tries to get the pole.
Yeah, so Polasek's going to have to pick a line here, and looks like Yanni's going to drop in front of Hawken. Is Hawken going to give a push, or is he going to try to make the pass here? Snaking up the back straightaway. Bellman would like to be home free and win his first race since Sonoma at the season opening round. Can he get back there, Justin? Time's out. Checkered flag next time by.
I think right now he's got a comfortable spot here. It's all down to if anybody goes for an aggressive lunge through roller coaster and hog pen. Yanni trying to set up a potential drag race here, but we haven't seen the poles by that start and finish line here today. It's been usually after that mark.
Polasek got that race. He's going to get tagged there by Menzies, and they're going to tangle all the while at the front of the field. Thomas Belleman has just got to make it back to the stripe. I don't think Yanni's got the momentum to get there. I don't think he's going to. Checkered flag for the first time since the California trip to Sonoma. Thomas Belleman wins the Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League. Yanni, Hawken, Menzies, Polasek, 4 and 5. And then the next group of cars here comes Paul Darling, Martineau, and many, many more. Let's just watch them all run to the start-finish line here.
Great racing up at the front of the field yet again. Belleman timed up his runs perfectly. This race was much different in terms of being able to add things up compared to the simple pass back and forth. You had Yanni, you had in particular Polasek change up how these drivers had to approach things for that battle for the race lead. And we've seen that really open things up to where it was a lot more aggressive, but it was a clean bit of aggression. It was a fun bit of battling for all these drivers here to be able to close things out.
Thomas Belleman gets it done. And he made it look easy at Sonoma. That battle was not easy, and there was a lot of racecraft going on. Polasek just kind of got shuffled back and then got tangled there with Menzies at the very end. Let's go back and look at that one more time here before we go on to the post-race here. But this was the run up the hill on the backstretch the last time, and this is where things, I mean, there was possible for anyone to still win this race up until we get to roller coaster here.
Yeah, there was still a decent amount of drop, but not enough to be able to lunge side by side by roller coaster for the race lead. But Polasek just couldn't get the defensive down. Menzies pulling off of Hawken, able to get the edge and the overlap down. Polasek's more busy focusing on what's going on with Hawken. But right about here, starts to get to where he tries to squeeze back on Menzies, try and force Menzies to lift. Menzies already on the curbing. There was a bit of a squeeze, but Polasek with a bit of contact right there. You see just trying to finish things up. Not a lot of real estate.
Yeah, this is two guys going for it, but again, he's alongside there, and I just don't think he had quite enough racetrack. But it's hard because, you know, you have to get over as far left as possible to make the next corner. So I think it's just two drivers going for it there. Unfortunately, they got tangled, but they did get to keep their top 5 spots. Thomas Belleman gets it done, and he will win his 3rd race of the season. We'll talk to him here in just a few minutes' time. But what a fun battle all the way through this race. Great stuff. Let's have a look at the race results for this one here, and I guess we'll digest it. In a month, we'll head to Road America.
Thomas Belleman picking up the win, able to get the win by near 0.2 of a second over Yanni at the very end in this race. Brandon Hawken yet again on the podium. A good day for Brandon Hawken in general. Menzies as well. Great points hauls. Polasek, decent points days, but not enough to be able to keep up with those top 2 in the championship, you'd have to argue. Paul Darling, still a great race here, too.
Yeah, I think certainly Paul Darling did a nice job. And, again, working with a new team, a lot of shifts and shuffles up and down the order for him tonight, and had a big incident to avoid on the climb up the S's there. But all in all, I have to say his new team debut has gone pretty well. And, again, Polasek in the mix, but just got kind of shuffled out there at the end. And looking down, Jake Cummings, we saw the 97 car get tagged with that penalty. I believe it was 97 that got tagged with the penalty for that rejoin late in that race. Nate Stewart rebounded for a 10th. I think he'll take that. Camden Hibbett, maybe the what could have, should have, he might have gotten even a top 5 out of this race had he just had a little bit more, a little bit less self-imposed detriment today.
Yeah, absolutely here. There's a lot of drivers that might have had a better opportunity here in general. Joshua Soto in particular, believe had issues on the final lap. Didn't even really finish things out towards the back of the field. Same for Townend. So a lot of drivers going to be hoping to go back to the drawing board for the next time out.
Well, with that, there's your race results. Let's talk to a handful of drivers here that got it done today. And the first one we're going to talk to is going to be Brandon Hawken, who finished in 3rd place in race number 2. And Brandon, thanks for joining us here. This was a fun one tonight. You were right up in the mix there, and everyone was kind of throwing hands at the end. Take us through your perspective of those last couple laps. You almost had second, maybe even a win, had things gone out a little bit different. Whoop, I don't hear you, Brandon. Sorry, in Discord. Use Discord for me. There you go. I got you now.
Oh, okay. Button's working now. All right.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fun race. Yeah, but both of them. Yeah, I was kind of, yeah, just trying to stay in the pack, try to break away from the group behind, and but at the same time, you didn't want to lose too many positions because it was really hard to get them back. It seemed a little bit easier to pass the first car in the draft than it was further on back. So yeah, you kind of wanted to be up towards the front, and yeah, I just couldn't quite get the acceleration onto the straightaway. I think. Yeah, this car is a lot different than a lot of other cars, so yeah, I got to work on that a bit. But yeah, I was hanging in there, and man, yeah, Thomas and Michael were going at it for both races, and I was I wanted to try and stay in second there at the start of the second race, but yeah, I made a mistake. I got the car bouncing a bit off the curb, and Thomas was able to scoot around the outside, and so for the rest of it, I was trying to see what I could do to make a move, but yeah, I just couldn't quite get to them. But once I got down towards the end, they were going side by side up the S's and going up the hill, and then I think they were still side by side coming back down the hill. So I backed up my entry a little bit, got a huge run down the hill, and then just kind of chose a lane there. Michael, it looked like he was going to go to the inside, and then he didn't, and then so I was like, okay, it's for free real estate, and then so I just yeah, hoped I could clear him off outside of Oak Tree, and yeah, I was able to get the pass on him, and I was side by side with Michael, but he got a nice run off the corner, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, really clean racing, and it just yeah, it's been kind of the theme throughout the whole season. Just like super good action up front, and you know what, yeah, I wish I had myself in a position to maybe make a move for the lead there towards the end, but yeah, Thomas and Michael, they're just like they're crazy fast. So I'll see what I can do to just get maybe a couple more hundredths per lap, and see what I can do in the next rounds. But man, I'm happy with that. I think that's my two best finishes so far this season. So I'm really happy with that, and looking forward to the next one. Should be good.
Well done, Brandon. Justin, anything for Brandon before we turn him loose?
I was about to say, you answered a lot of the questions I think that could have went your direction, but I was going to ask, in terms of how difficult has it been to be able to join yourself into this conversation this season. Of course, many people know you as a strong road course racer, especially with the style of racing and with other cars in terms of road courses, but how difficult has it been to join this conversation like you did today?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, yeah, this car, it's really unique in the way that, like, particularly, like, from the apex to the exit of the corner, you got to get on the gas super early, and it just carries the momentum all the way down the straightaway. It's like even it's a similar, like, you'd think it would be really similar to the MX-5, but it's quite a lot different in the way that you apply the throttle, and you just like, you get on it as early as you can, and you just hope you don't spin the rear tires coming off. And it's a really unique car. And but as far as the racing goes, you know, it's yeah, pretty similar to what I've raced in the past. You know, got like lots of draft, and you just yeah, you want to stay towards the front, because although there's lots of draft, the further you get, it seems like the rowdier it gets. So yeah, you want to kind of stay up front, and then it seems like today, yeah, you want to either be first or second on the final lap. So yeah, try to get into that position in the next one. But man, I'm having a lot of fun in this series. It's been an absolute blast. So yeah, just hats off to everybody. Congrats to Thomas, my Racing Prodigy teammate Sucker Punch. Shout out to Brian and Franz, and all my teammates. And yeah, great win from Thomas. Great win from Michael in the first race as well. And yeah, it's just got a long wait to the next one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate your time. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Road America in a month.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, and we're going to move on now to let's check in with our fifth place finisher in this race, which was Michael Polasek. As soon as I can grab his camera, we'll have a quick chat here with our season champion from last year. And Michael Polasek comes home in 5th in race number 2. But in race number 1, it was a 4th place for you, Michael. In the mix plenty this weekend, but never quite at the point for too long with how much revolving door action there was at the front. Fun to watch, but not quite as victorious as I'm sure you were hoping. Thoughts after VIR?
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting race with how much people were swapping around. It was just a case of being in the right place at the right time, and unfortunately I just couldn't get the runs off of Oak Tree that everyone else could, and that's kind of what did me in. And come the final lap, I just didn't play that correctly. Race 2, I went to the outside because I thought I could get the run coming off of Oak Tree, and unfortunately Brandon was just able to pull it off and clear me, and that pretty much doomed me to at least a 4th or lower finish. So it's unfortunate, I just didn't play it right. If I could have run through that again, I definitely would have just defended the inside and see what I could have done after that. Race 1, my race was pretty much over after a slowdown. Fortunately, the caution saved me, but the track position loss was just too much for me to make up going from 8th to 4th, and I was just never able to catch the lead pack. It's just a bit painful when your races end just by self-inflicted wounds, but overall, considering I had very limited practice, I came home from vacation and then got immediately sick. So I only had maybe about 1.5 days of practice for this race. It's a decent result all around.
Justin, anything for Michael?
I was going to say, how difficult has it been this season? How would you compare this season to last season in terms of how the difficulty's been for you to be able to try and score points? Because last season you were in the mix for every race for the race victory. This season, right now, it's the battle to hold on to the top 5.
Yeah, the competition is a lot tougher. Everybody at the front's improved. Brandon has gotten a lot faster. Christian Menendez as well has gotten significantly quicker. Thomas Bellman as well. He's had race win pace pretty much everywhere. So it's a lot harder now to win, considering that there's 4 or 5 drivers every single race that are in contention for the win. Fortunately, everybody at the front is clean but aggressive, so you get a lot of really good racing and you can trust in them that they're not going to hit you off or anything.
Michael, thanks so much for your time once again. Congratulations. It's been a lot of top 5s this season, a lot of podiums as well, but good luck to you at Road America. We'll see you in virtual Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll bring in now, let's see here, Michael Yanni we'll have a chat with. 2nd place in race number 2, but of course picked up his 5th win of the season a little bit earlier in this virtual race weekend. Michael Yanni, congratulations on a job well done tonight. Didn't end up completely sweeping both, but man, what a fun night. And you are persistently up at the front. And this season, we were just talking about it with Michael Polasek, how much more competitive it seems this year.
Absolutely. I mean, I think anyone in the top 4 or 5 in every race can win, especially at a track like this where it's pretty draft focused and, you know, you have to plan your moves right. It's kind of like a go-kart race. It's tooth and nail out there. And I think the last lap of the 2nd race kind of showed that, especially like into Oak Tree, right? I was trying to position myself to kind of maybe get alongside Thomas, get a good exit out of there, but you know, Brendan had other ideas that kind of mixed it up into the little shuffle. It was a phenomenal. I mean, I didn't expect it. I basically turned in and I'm like, oh, there's a car here, and he did a really good job at like continuing to pressure me, I think, for the remainder. And it was cool to have Thomas win as well, because I mean, like, I think in the first race out of Oak Tree, there was like a little touch between us, and I got him a little loose. And I mean, we didn't really have the ability to fight for that, so it was cool to see that, especially with how competitive the championship is. Like, I want it to be a championship race all the way to the end. So yeah, today we got good points, and I guess we'll wait till the next round.
Justin?
Was about to say, next round is going to also likely be a draft-dependent track. Road America coming up. Your approach when it comes to that circuit, knowing there's a lot of drafting areas like here that we expect to see once we get to Wisconsin.
Yeah, last year I didn't have the best outing there. It was open quali last year, and I just couldn't find a drafting partner for the life of me, and I think the one lap I got was impeded, so it basically ended in T1 because I got collected. So I would like to race it this year. I think that's step number 1. And as for the goals, I just need to start getting top 3s every race to maintain the championship lead. I mean, even top 5 I think is good for now. So survival, that's kind of the big thing, because yeah, you're not pulling away there. That's for sure.
Thank you, Michael. Congratulations on another job well done, and we'll see you at Road America next month.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Thomas Belleman won his 3rd race of the season just a moment ago, and it was a well-fought battle there, Thomas. A great fight tonight with Michael Yanni and Brandon Hawkin and Michael Polasek up there in the mix. It's been a little while since we've seen you at the top step, but you've been in the mix ever since your sweep at Sonoma. How do you feel after VIR? Whoop. I see you trying. Come on back to Discord. There you go.
There you go. Sorry, I was
You're good.
screwing up with the buttons there. But yeah, I'm very happy with today. You know, I knew Virginia was going to be a good track for me. It's usually one of my best tracks in the game, and kind of screwed up qualifying a little bit, so wish I could have gotten pulled, but it was okay. Race 1, honestly, really well. I started realizing that you kind of want to be in 2nd position for the back straight due to how strong the draft was. Unfortunately, kind of didn't expect Michael to have such a slowdown into the oak tree, so it kind of hit me and then lost a bit of momentum, and Brandon got the move done. But then, yeah, we got into race 2. It was a nice 5-car breakaway, and it was just kind of a game of chess to see if we could start 2nd or be 1st for coming into oak tree, and then kind of sent it into the last lap, had an idea I wanted to try, and then got the move done in oak tree, and somehow got the win.
Justin?
And I was about to say, when it comes to championship standings here too, unofficially, Yanni still able to get a small advantage here, but what's going through your mind now with the championship, knowing you're in the conversation to try and win this title fight? What's kind of going through your mind pressure-wise, knowing you have to try and start outscoring Yanni in the near future here?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more the pressure because we're getting to the back half of the season, so there's less opportunities to try to get ahead of him, but it's going to be a lot of making sure we keep working behind the scenes on the consistency through every lap. Today we were able to show that. Just didn't go the way race 1, but it's obviously 1st and 2nd have a decently big margin based on the points, so it's going to be trying to make sure we win and position the car correctly in the next coming races so that we can try to finish ahead of Michael Yanni.
Thomas, thanks so much for your time as always. Congratulations. Looking forward to Road America, where we're going to continue to watch you guys battle for that title. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you there.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys too.
Thank you. All right, Justin, we talked about unofficial points. Unofficially, it's about a 23-point advantage between Yanni and Belleman going into Road America. The National Park of Speed up next month. Oh, boy, that was a barn burner of an event last year, and I can imagine it's going to be pretty exciting here upcoming a week before we head to the real event. So it'll be August when we go racing again here in the virtual world, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too, because it's another drafting track, yes, but it's also one that provides a lot of thrilling intrigue, especially up the Marine Sweep, to be able to see how things go and fare out for a lot of these competitors up the straightaway. As well, it's going to be important to see how things fare out for the championship. Right now, Yanni and Belleman seem to be the tops of the class right now. The question is going to be, can Belleman outscore Yanni, start chipping away the points yet again to be able to set himself up for the final 2 rounds or so of the season?
Well, looking forward to it. And again, the Real World Series goes racing again a week from today. We'll see you on GT World for the real Toyota GR Cup North America Series. Be myself and DJ Clark back in the booth for that one. And a quick sneak peek at Road America coming up next month. The National Park of Speed, 4 miles twisting through Wisconsin countryside. That's our next playground, the high speeds and the high consequences of one of America's best road courses. We'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching. Big thanks to Toyota and SRO for putting on this event year after year and race after race. Thanks to Finney and DeCuna behind the scenes for putting all the race control statuses up there for us. And we'll see you in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin next month.